Hello there. Hello there. As a writer, sometimes you get lucky, you're in a storylining group with 2 to 5 writers. And this is when you're doing a TV series or a web series. But when you're doing a short film or a feature film, it's very much a solo process. And the thing is, there's a method to the madness. And that is what I'm going to share with you today. My name is Joan Kabugu, a writer and a filmmaker, also founder of Ecila Films, a production company which won the Women in Tech Award in 2021. Our short film, Saving Pink Beauty, has also been nominated for 2 Kalasha Awards. Kindly vote. Voting ends December 3rd. So what happened, like 2 or 3 months ago, I got some good news that I was going to be commissioned for a project. And the thing is, the project was only alive as a treatment. And a treatment is basically 6 to 8 pages explaining the entirety of the story. And, from actors to budget, like it's an overview of the story that a commissioning editor or an executive producer looks at and decides that I want to see that project come to life. The thing is, I didn't have a script at that point. And this is because a script needs, especially a feature film, which is 60 minutes to 120. And if you're Tarantino, you can do 180 minutes. Currently, I've penned a 65-minute script. And I think my range is there about 60-70 minutes. I need to build a bit more stamina. So yeah, I didn't have a script. And when I got this call, I was like, what? In this episode of Script to Screen, which I'm calling A Method to the Madness, I'm going to share 10 steps of how to get to at least 60 pages of a feature film. Let's get with it. So because I'm a writer, I put everything down on my notebook because I don't know how to cram the points. But I hope it's going to be helpful to you if you're a young scriptwriter, if you need to get back to writing, and if you need a bit of pick-me-up. So here goes. So number 1, what I did is I mapped out the story. And when I say mapping out is I took the treatment, because in the treatment you kind of give a page of the Act 1, a page of Act 2, and a page of Act 3. So I just mapped out everything into one-liners. And when I say a one-liner, how I was taught when I was starting out is a one-liner has an action and a reaction. That's a scene. Another thing, if it doesn't have an action or if it doesn't have an action, then a reaction, it has to either reveal something about the character or tell us something new about the story. So that is how you judge whether your scene is legit or not. So I mapped out and broke down into one-liners. So the second part was creating the world of the story. And the thing is, stories don't happen in a vacuum. They have characters and they have locations. So I just wrote out the different characters, still based on the treatment which I had, and I added a few more. And then also I created which locations will we see the characters operating. So I created that world. So that's 2. Step number 3, I mapped out my one-liners into 8 solid sequences. And this is still the, Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, but it's an interesting process where you're able to see your story journey from here to here to here. It sort of has its acts, ups and downs. And this is a bit formulaic. I learned it many years ago from a blog called The Script Lab. I'm going to share a link below. And what they do is they map out the story into 8 parts. And these 8 parts, there's, when is the first obstacle? When is there a plot twist? when is the resolution, like it gives you like, you know, those key places in the story. And I actually went back to that blog, the example of Inception, and you know, I got a bit of extra inspiration. So that is step number 3. Step number 4 is now looking at those sequences and revising them. Script writing is like writing. A lot of it is revising and editing. So when you're revising and editing, what you're doing essentially is you're looking at your conflicts. Are they strong enough? You're looking at your obstacles. Are they real obstacles? Are they, you know, the conflicts, are they internal conflicts, external conflicts? You're also looking at the escalation, because, you know, I really feel this is usually important, that when it comes to a story, it has to really move from one point to the next effortlessly. And the obstacles are not just obstacles, like they're realistic obstacles. And, you know, like it's hard work, because, you know, we've seen so many films, so many stories, and for a filmmaker, a scriptwriter, to make it different every time, it's really, you know, some work. So number 4, revising. Number 5, what I did with the story is now I moved everything from analog to digital. I think what I didn't mention is when I'm mapping all these things out, I'm doing it on I usually do it on cue cards when I'm rich, but I just, you know, repurposed some printing paper and used a felt pen and wrote out everything, and, you know, would move things, like, you know, physically the papers, and just look at how everything was coming together. And, you know, like I did some time lapses which are on IG, and you know, the IG family really gave me a lot of psych. So yeah, I transfer everything from the papers, the cue cards, the sticky notes. I now put it on the computer. Another sub point to this is when I'm doing this, the beauty is I'm sort of, kind of, still editing and re-editing and revising, because as you're doing this, you're getting new ideas, and you're checking your story again, and as you're transferring, you're like, this point doesn't work, it doesn't make sense, what was I thinking? So it gives you a chance to, like, you know, sort of revise and make everything make sense. Yeah, so that is number 5. Number 6 is something also very basic. Like now I have what you'd call a story outline. Like now, notes. We've moved from the treatment, we've gone through this journey, and now we are at a story outline, and it outlines the story from beginning, middle, and end. And in my outline, sometimes I include just, you know, descriptions of the characters, and a short log line, which is one sentence, you know, defining the entire premise of the story. So yeah, I'm at an outline. So I take this outline which I've typed out, and I spell check on Word, and then just go a bit further and spell check on Grammarly. Yeah, so actually, another sub point to this point number 6 is I'm doing all this because this outline will be seen by another set of eyes, to just, you know, see at this stage. It's a bit early, but I want someone to just look at what I'm doing and be like, all right, I get it. And I usually send to 1 or 2 writer colleagues, writer friends, and another, you know, I have an editor who has a very, you know, keen eye on story. She doesn't write, but she knows how to poke holes into stories. So for this specific script, I shared with one writer and my other editor friend, which takes me to point number 7, getting notes. When you get notes from these people, it's always nice to just look at the notes. Maybe they'll send you a document with some pointers, or they'll revise But I always go a step further and be like, can we have a phone conversation? Can we get into Zoom for a few minutes? Can we just have a chat about, the notes you've given me so that I can fully understand your perspective? Because the thing is, sometimes you can be, why don't they get it? And you ignore it. But, when you hear it from them one-on-one, you sort of understand it more in depth. So, yeah, I did that with my writer friend and my editor friend. And I had like quite a chunk of notes to work with and to revise my story. And point number 8, depending on the situation at that point, is that my story was too heavy on action and weak and light on the characters. So number 8, I did some character development, round 2. So I went back to the characters and I looked at all of them and I was like, how can I improve them? How can I make them more richer? How can I be memorable? And on that note, my favorite character is the Joker. Yeah. Greatest character ever created. So yeah, I went back and created my characters again. And in the process of that, I had to cut out 1 or 2 or 3 characters because I felt they were crowding the story and making it a bit too heavy. So yeah, I murdered my darlings, and it was sad, but I moved on. And that was 8. And number 9 was also another round 2 of the world of the story. I think some of the things weren't making sense because I hadn't thought really in depth about the locations. So I had another deeper. I marinated the story some more and just thought a little bit where this story takes place. And I also, cut out a few other locations because some of the characters were attached to some locations. So the locations also became less. And yeah, at that point, like I felt with the revisions, with the new storyline, I was ready. I was ready to start writing the script, which was now step number 10, writing out the script pages, writing out the action lines and the dialogue. And, getting to that point was really, really exciting, but it was now where the hard work begins. And I usually, for this case, I took 8 to 10 sessions. Like I'd probably sit in the morning, in the afternoon, or I'll sit the following day, sometime in the afternoon, and then at night. My writing times vary with what's happening in the day, but sometimes mornings I have better ideas, I'm more fresh. So I sat for a couple of days and finished the script. That's where we are at. Script to screen, a method to the madness, the 10 steps, while writing a feature film script. So I'll definitely keep you updated on where we are at, maybe in the next episode. And beyond that, there's so many other things that happen in between creating a project and bringing it to life. From the minute it's entirely in my hands as a scriptwriter, before it moves, still many other steps to go, and I hope I'll take you on that journey. So that's it. Subscribe to the Ecila Films YouTube page for films, for tips, for content, and vote for Saving Pink Beauty, nominated in the 2021 Kalasha Awards. The categories are Best Kids Production and Best Local Languages Film. Yeah, there's another story on why I have my films in Swahili. More content. Peace.